right, let's talk about some things. Information I wish I knew when I started wholesaling, right? It's crazy. You go into something and it's all new to you, so everything feels right. Everything feels like it's working until it's not. Literally, until it's not. So wholesaling for me was this great new venture, right? Able to sign deals and make $10,000, $20,000 for signing paper. It almost felt too good to be true when I first started out. It was exhilarating, it was great. And then things got real when I started to grow my company. Because when you're growing, it's not, I'd like to get this deal closed, or I'd like to get a certain amount of deals closed. It's, we have to get these deals closed. Because when you have fixed expenses, such as marketing, payroll, it's not a matter of, I hope I make money. It's really a matter of, if I'm not making the money, then I'm gonna lose money. Because then I would have to bankroll expenses, bankroll payroll out of the savings. It goes from a wish to a must. And when things are on the line and it's a must, when you have a team members, staff, shit gets real really quick. I remember when I first went on my journey to grow, I was told that, this four-person team, acquisition person, a disposition person, administrative / transactional assistant, and you. That's all you need. That's kind of how I started in the beginning, 4-person team. And it worked decent. Like, we were able to get past like the first couple of years and do well. My acquisition person was on where they only get paid if we close type of deal. They were on that. Didn't have a salary or a base pay. My administrative did have a base pay, but it was stuff I can handle, right? If we closed one deal, I could have paid my staff and a little bit for myself, and I would survive, right? It wouldn't be the end of the world. But I wanted to grow, like all of us as entrepreneurs do. Once you hit the same goal and then it gets old, you're like, okay, now it's time to throw some fire on this baby. That's pretty much where I was at after about 2 or 3 years of stagnant revenue, right? I had this one spot I just couldn't get past, like $300,000 a year in gross revenue. Just couldn't get past that year after year after year. I'm like, okay, this 4-person team is great to get me here, but it's not gonna get me to 7 figures. I tried it every which way I could. It just was not happening. So, being the analytical person that I am, I went ahead and I checked out everything at my disposal, basically. And I'm like, okay, so how do we do this? How do we get to 7 figures? First thing I came up with was, okay, we got to send out more marketing. So I went ahead and did that. I made sure I had a nice little cushion so I can afford it. And I went ahead and doubled my marketing expense. Now, I was hoping that this was also going to double my revenue. That's not what happened. And this was the sticking point, because I understood and I knew basic math. Double your marketing should double your revenue. So month 1, all right, look, I'm reasonable. We didn't double the revenue month 1. Okay, let me wait a little more, and maybe there's some seasoning needs to happen with these marketing. Now month 3, month 4, about month 5 or 6, I'm like, okay, something's wrong. Now, we did increase revenue slightly. I would say maybe 15, 20%. But not a doubling. That was the point where I realized that the marketing alone was not the lever that will increase and grow the business. It wasn't the marketing. So I said, spent twice as much money, but I only got about 20% more revenue in the back end. Maybe this is hitting some spot of diminishing returns. That's what I thought initially. Then I thought about it, I'm like, nah, that can't be it. Because I'm hitting different lists, different people. I'm getting double the leads. This is the point. I've got double the leads. But what happened after that was all going through the same funnel, through the same acquisition person, through the same disposition person, but was not resulting to double in revenue. I wasn't doing double the actual deals. So the fact of it being, a law of diminishing returns, that was not the case. So I went back and I was like, okay, it's my acquisition person. I need to get 2 acquisition people because this one person is being overwhelmed with work. And of course, it's twice as many leads. They're not getting to them all. They're not giving the same attention to them all. So they're cherry picking. And as a result, they're leaving money on the table. So I hired my second acquisition person. Was that a process? And it was painful. I trained that person manually, belly to belly. When he got on the phone, he was great on the phone. He seemed to be doing everything that I trained him to do. Taking calls well, being courteous and polite to people, closing them when they're closable, sealing the deal, sending out the contract, but we still weren't getting double the revenue. Still weren't doing double the deals. And we were in office at the time, so I knew he was doing all the right things. I was literally standing over him, literally. So I'm like, okay, this is weird. Did double the marketing, only getting 20% more revenue. Hired a second acquisition person, split out the leads, we're still only getting about 20% more revenue. Why is that? The question why, that one question is the most important question of every entrepreneur. To challenge and ask why and not settle until you find the answer. What happened after that is I found the answer to that problem. I was relentless in trying to discover the precise issue so that way I can fix it. And it all was operations. It all was the structure in which the leads were going through. It was a lot of haphazard processes. In many cases, there was no process. One lead would get one call and another lead would get 17 calls. Like, it was just all over the place in terms of what we were doing with each lead as they came in. Like, crazy stuff was happening. Like, my acquisition person would listen to the voicemail, and if the person sounded like they were gonna sell at a discount, then he would call them back. And if the person had a high number, you're like, yeah, I'm not calling that person back. That person's unrealistic. A lot of that was going on, a lot of cherry picking on deals. And to their credit, it was something that they had to do because leads were coming at them at a double the rate. So they wasn't gonna find double the time to handle these leads. So as a result, the next logical thing for them to do was just to use their discernment and try to discern which leads were worth pursuing and which leads were not. That winded up costing the business probably tens of thousands of dollars a month, right? So I went ahead and I formulated a process. It's that type of burning desire to solve that problem which led to one of my single most important business decisions I ever made. And it changed everything for me after that. Today, the business is very consistent in terms of deal flow. Every lead that comes through the business follows a very strict process from beginning to end. Constant improvement process. We went on to triple the amount of deals that we did. Revenue went up like 5, 6x. Profitability went through the roof. And I didn't spend not one extra dollar on marketing. That's the important part of this story. I didn't spend any extra money on marketing because to me, for me to add any more marketing dollars would be in vain if I couldn't get the same result on the back end. So how I went ahead and doubled my marketing in an attempt to double my revenue, and it only gave me 20%. I kept my marketing the same, and then I went ahead and tested to see if I can get that doubling of revenue back. So I kept changing the process, kept moving around things, restructuring and retooling until I can get that doubling. And then when I found it, then only then would I consider adding more money to marketing. And I basically found out that my operations was shit. It was crap. I had no processes. People were just doing things based on how they felt. You know what a motivated seller sounds like. Follow-up was all over the place. There was very haphazard follow-up. People were comping properties based on different comping styles. Like, it was bananas. So bananas that I'm even shocked that we were able to make money in the old way. But today, I'm very happy with the business. We do 7 figures a year quite easily. The deal flow is extremely consistent to the point where it's even scary, and the competitors in my market are beating down my doors asking me what the hell I'm doing to find deals in such a consistent manner when everyone around me pretty much is having a hard time. And it's a problem that they can't spend their way out of, if that makes sense. Like, more marketing is not going to fix a process, a structural problem. In fact, it actually makes it worse because you just get less and less profitable. You need to take a step back to fix the processes and then pour on. It's like the concept of taking 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward. And it's so difficult for entrepreneurs to do because we do not want to slow down. The last thing that we want to do is slow down when it comes to what we're doing. And it was very hard for me to slow down, but I understood that if I didn't, then everything else will be watered down, put it that way. If you have inconsistent deal flow, I'm almost certain that you are struggling with some of, if not all of the ailments that I had in my company when it came to inconsistent deal flow, inconsistent revenue. Spending more is not equating to the same amount of more. If you're spending more and it doesn't equate to the same amount, that is the prerequisite to understanding that you have a structural problem. And you can dissect it on your own, and with trial and error and time, you can find a solution. However, if you need help or you want help in doing that from someone who did the surgery on myself and actually found the issue, fixed the issue, and have grown from there, then go ahead and book a call with me on my website, michelledmurray.com, and let's chat. Let's see what comes of it. At the very least, I'll go ahead and give you a very potent game plan on how to solve your own problem. And sometimes it's not even what you think it is. And that's the crazy part about it. And if you were like me, speed to fixing that problem, and it could be the difference between you staying in business or giving up. I was this close to giving up. And if I can help, I don't want anyone to quit too early. So look, let's chat and we'll see what we can do.